out there. I know there was invasive plant mapping in Las Cienegas, and then I don't know if it was the first buffalo grass surveys and treatment in the Cienega Preserve area, and that was when Cheryl McIntyre was part of Sonoran, too, involved with many of you in those efforts.
Next.
I'll jump in here for a sec. So 2009, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation initiated what they call their Sky Island Grasslands Initiative, and that's focuses on species recovery and habitat improvement in grasslands and embedded wetlands in this Sky Island region, and they recognized this valley as one of the best places to do grassland and wetland conservation and restoration projects. One cool thing about that is it turns out a lesson from that links back to Pima County's acquisitions, that Pima County has actually put up the value put up essentially the matching funds for a lot of restoration projects that folks in this room have been part of. So the Frog Project and a bunch of other stuff, and SIA stuff. So by being a little bit creative in allocating sort of value of taxpayer monies that were already spent on acquiring these properties, Pima County and the other partners have managed to multiply what the taxpayers get out of the bond monies that have funded the open space acquisitions and Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan. I think that's very cool.
And it was very cool that NIFWIF allowed us to use already spent money as match instead of the non-federal cash match that they actually really would prefer.
Right. And then, okay, so a couple of other things. 2010, there was a national group that's focused on collaborative adaptive management that asked if Las Cienegas would host their annual conference. And the significance on that, I think, is that it sort of it marks the fact that this this collaboration has become a national example of how collaboration and how responsive and adaptive management can improve both stakeholder relationships and results on the ground. Oh, and I'll just jump in there then. And that actually brought highlighted BLM's own attention to this way of doing business at a national level. And at the national level, BLM allocated funds to export this model to other BLM managed sort of crown jewel lands. And that's now proceeding with a partnership at the Agua Fria Monument.
Okay, and I'll just, based on what Geeta said, back in 2004, SVPP was featured at the White House Conference on cooperative collaboration. So that's important. And
Cooperative conservation,
yeah,
you mean.
You'll figure it out. Collaborative conservation. Okay, and then right around in 2010, is that right, Tawny, when we started working on revising biological planning? So, and Tawny became involved as the facilitator, and the tech teams were formed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next.
Full circle.
Dennis, you wanted the frog project started in 2010?
Yeah, 2010, Mexican garter snakes were found to be rare. If you remember back here, they were still common. Lessons learned, whereas in 10 years of not doing very many surveys, things can go awry. It's probably better to have more surveys going on and be able to find these things more finely tuned and be able to react more positively to them. That's also when the Frog Project, a NIFWIF project, was initiated. The Frog Project is now done.
And there was a youth component to that, which was working off about the grassland. So.
Okay, next.
So jumping in on NIFWIF in 2010, NIFWIF funded, I've got it way over here, it belongs over here, an erosion control, arroyo erosion control project in the watershed. And again, that was, the match came from Pima County. Also, under that project, we started bringing Bill Zedike and some of the restoration practitioners from New Mexico over into the watershed. They were all very excited to be over here, and I think we've had really good response to bringing those guys here and starting to think about riparian restoration.
Pick up some blue areas. We had our oral history work group began in 2010, and that's been a pretty good work group, and we've got a lot more work to do. So that was a good effort. I know we've had more signs on the Sonoyta Plains, but I put 2011 up here, and I think that was actually the fourth one. We'll have to get those dates. And in 2011, we had a State of the Watershed workshop. We had it 2010, 2011, 2012. I think this is the fifth one, but we're going to go back and pick up those dates. And then in are we doing just up to 10 now?
Keep going.
Keep going, okay. In 2011, we also had the back then work group formed, which is the oral history, oral historians, people interested in ecology. So some more of these groups then are starting to work specific areas here.
Why don't you mention yes while you're at it?
Well, why don't I mention yes while I'm at it? Okay, in 2011, CWP adopted yes with an exclamation point for our youth program, Youth Engaged Stewardship. And we were able to finally get the ball rolling really fast. We came together as a group of collaborators, we got some money, and we got out there. So our lesson learned was we can figure out how to work with teenagers, but as adults coming together in a group, we got some fine tuning. Yes.